I wanted a place that had a flexible workplace arrangement in place, an organisation that embraced hybrid work. Because otherwise, I don't think it's possible to work full time, be part of the Kookaburras, and also have half decent sort of family or social life in there. So I know Andrew and I often joke that we'll sometimes have meetings quite late at night because we're speaking to team members in the Americas, or they could be quite early. In this weird sort of way, it kind of works around training, your normal work hours and family duties.
For me as well, the balance and to make it work with our employers is a lot about transparency. I know with my history in the workforce that the more aware you can make your employers to your day-to-day life and the requirements that it has, and the month-by-month requirements in terms of travel and sporting commitments, it enables them to be able to make decisions and be able to accommodate for it. I see a lot of guys run into issues when they raise the fact they're going on a trip at the point they get selected when it's 2 weeks away, and then all of a sudden their employer's scrambling to cover them. So our employers are out there doing a favour by employing us. They do see it as a benefit to us, but we've also got to do the right to them and ensure that they have all the information available to make decisions to cover us when we're away. Yeah, so I initially started doing engineering when I lived in Canberra, so I moved from Canberra to Perth to pursue my hockey career. Transitioned that degree over to finish it at the University of Western Australia. And then I began to do my Masters because the Rio Olympics was coming up, and I didn't necessarily want to go into full-time work before that with the pressures of Olympic preparation. But then coincidentally, heading into the 2016 Olympics, there was a function prior to departure, and I was sitting on a table with a management consulting company that's Brazilian-based called Visagio. They'd just set up an office in Perth. We'd done some research on each other prior to the event, and they essentially offered me a job on my return from the Olympics. And I think that speaks to one point that I think is underestimated or underutilised within careers and the elite sport, is the network that we have around us, the opportunities we have to sit in coffees with these big companies or big names within corporations and build a network out. But that was a little side note, and I digressed. So I ended up in management consulting. And I guess one of the things about balance is I got to a point in that career where the balance between sport, hockey and life became untenable to continue growth. Management consulting is quite a grinding career. You've got to be doing a lot of hours, so I decided it was best to move out of that. I just moved to independent contracting through a labour hire firm, and then ultimately, again, using my network around me, found an FTE role within the Project Centre of Excellence.
What's FTE stand for those playing at home?
Full-time equivalent, so just as permanent employment through the company as opposed to a contracting position.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people say, is it possible you have to choose between your sporting ambition, sporting career, and your professional development? And I think you raise a good point. You don't necessarily have to forego your professional career, but you probably have to be pragmatic and realistic about the sort of professional opportunities that you can pursue alongside a sporting career. Management consulting, investment banking, late hours, getting into early mornings, it's not a sustainable lifestyle. And I think another area is real physical type jobs, and if you don't have to work on site and things like that, after training, then go back to the gym, your body's going to be tired. So it is possible, but you have to be pretty specific and intentional about how you piece it all together. So I studied a Bachelor of Commerce at Deakin University, major in economics and finance. Like most athletes, probably took a fair bit longer to complete that degree than the average student, but eventually got there. And I suppose I was sort of tossing up between playing a season in Europe to try and just further my hockey development, and at the same time I was applying for a few grad jobs. It was everything from Big Four banks, Bunnings, consulting firms, and I had a list of companies that I was shortlisted and said, if I got these jobs, I'll stay, I'll do it, I won't go to Europe. And I was fortunate enough to get offered a grad job with National Australia Bank in Melbourne, and I took that a couple of years before I came to Perth. So I had 2 years of sort of full-time work there, working, what did I do then? I was mainly working across like their business bank, so that was, and in Melbourne that was mainly focused on like property deals, infrastructure, these sorts of things. Then I got the call up to Perth, and for those that don't know, Perth is very mining centric, so National Australia Bank continued my employment. They were really fantastic, very flexible as I sort of made this transition over to Perth and into being more of a full-time athlete. And just inevitably I sort of got more exposure to mining, but also to energy, and sort of the transition to clean energy. And
having a working career alongside your sporting career improves your longevity in the sport. I know at the age of 36, I definitely still wouldn't be playing hockey without this career growth that I've experienced.